Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9. I'm your co-host, Skye.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I am good. I know I mentioned last week that we were entering our Christmas era, and we are fully in it now. I have my baby tree here, and we've done our living room and our kitchen, and the whole apartment is decorated. So I just walk around and I just feel cozy, and it's a great feeling. So I'm feeling very cozy, very festive. How are you?
Oh, I love that. I'm so good. We have all of our Christmas lights up, and I actually got out our Christmas decorations, which I realized we have so few of now that our space is so much bigger. So I'm excited to do some Christmas decorating shopping after Thanksgiving.
Are you an after Thanksgiving setup person?
No, not at all. I'm hosting Thanksgiving, so like my focus needs to be like that, and then I can do like the decor things.
How many people are you hosting?
I think 12.
That's like this will be legit.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
excited?
I'm very excited. Yeah, I honestly was. Everyone is like, "Oh, what can I bring?" Blah blah blah. So I really don't really have. I'm not really in charge of much other than making sure the table's set, and Chris is gonna cook the turkey, and I'm just gonna kind of hang out and have a drink and have some fun.
I love it. Oh, what a perfect way to like well, I guess you had your housewarming party, but this is like I mean, if your
Yeah,
first big holiday hosting, that's a big deal.
yeah, we're very excited. I think it's gonna be good.
Yes. Oh, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear. You can tell us all about it next week.
Absolutely perfect. I'm very excited about today's episode.
I am too. It was hard not to just start off with how am I? It's like, well, I'm thrilled because we're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about Taylor Swift. How could we
Yes.
compare?
Oh my god, where do we even start? Well, why don't we start with where we first were introduced to Taylor Swift? Do you remember?
I think I will be the first to admit that I was not a Swiftie until like I t- I think 21. So I'm like a very, very new Swiftie. Growing up, I was very much like Jonas Brothers, Hannah Montana, and I was like, you
Yeah.
can't be both. I had it in my head that like you couldn't like everybody. So I was like, nope, not her. And I will say that even now, I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but I think everyone prefers the Taylor's version stuff, but like her voice wise, I think her newer stuff when she's like has that matured voice and you can actually hear what an incredible singer she is. I much prefer that. So I think growing up, it was like I don't like her voice sounded like I don't know. I love Taylor and I don't want to like say the wrong thing because I really love your music. But even now, it's like I love 1999, but I like listening to it more now because it's Taylor's
Yes.
version and she's like matured and it sounds like Taylor. So
Yeah.
yeah, I very new. I think Anna Kate might have been the friend that like really introduced me. She's always been a big Swiftie, but I've always known of her. I think it was Red Taylor's version coming out that was like that was the moment where I was like, okay, wait a minute. She is like she's definitely worth getting into. And I had that internship and I spent like my 45-minute drive either way listening to Red Taylor's version over and over and over again. So I think I guess that's like really my introduction.
I love that. I was 5 or 6, and it was actually Christmas time, and I grew up on, like, Faith Hill, like, that type of country music, and I remember my dad saying, "Have you heard of this girl, Taylor Swift?" And I'm like, "I'm 5 or 6, like, I'm not watching the news." So I was like, "No," and at this time, I knew how to work YouTube so I could watch Faith Hill's music videos. And he was like, "Well, Faith Hill's the queen of country, but Taylor's the princess, and
Oh,
she's gonna take over country music." And I was like, "Oh, like she's so young." And so the first song of hers that I ever heard was Picture to Burn
yep.
and Love Story. And I remember listening to Love Story on like our old desktop computer that was in the living room, and I would play it, Love Story, the video on YouTube. And I remember dancing in front of like the Christmas tree. That's how I remember this whole like scenario. So I've been a Swiftie since I was like literally 5 or 6.
Since you can remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I remember like in middle school, it was not cool to like Taylor Swift. I remember one of my close friends being like, "Taylor Swift, that's so dumb." Like, and I kind of, when 1989 came out originally, I remember people being so mad that she was doing pop music and they're like, "Stay in your lane" or whatever. I remember liking it and just being like quietly in the corner, like, okay, like it like hurt my feelings that people were shitting on her, which I think is why it doesn't bother me now. Like, especially with the whole Travis and
Mhm.
Taylor thing, people will be like, she needs to get out of football. She's ruining football. And I'm like, okay, it might ruin it for you, but it's really enhancing the experience for me.
Right.
And I like low key love that I have loved her when she wasn't loved too, because it taught me that it's okay to like things that not everyone
Yes.
likes.
I really like I'm very inspired by that because I think I was pretty anti Taylor Swift because of all the peer pressure. It was like if
Hmm.
middle school girls are the worst, so is everyone's
Yeah.
if everyone's saying that Taylor Swift sucks, it's like I was way too so I was not confident at all. I was like, okay, fine, like we don't like Taylor Swift, like that's the way
I
it is.
definitely wasn't sticking up for her.
Right.
That's for sure. But I also wasn't like, I wasn't contributing to like, oh, I hate her. I was just like,
Yep.
let me
Wow.
go cry this when I get home.
What was the first album? Do you remember like the first album that was like on repeat, you know every single word?
Yes, Lover, because I had never actually listened to an album, like a full album until Lover
Yep.
for any artist. And then when Lover came out, it was the summer coming back to UNH for our sophomore year.
Yep.
And I listened to it on the way down, which was a 2 hour drive. So I just listened to it on repeat and I knew all the words. And I don't know, like just, that was when my life, I started to get control of my life.
Yeah.
And I was very much still falling in love with Chris. And I think just the both of those things colliding in conjunction with that music, it just like spoke to my soul. And now for the most part, I listen to albums like a whole
Yep.
album, not just a feature song. Cause I was like the type of girl who only listened to the singles. So it was definitely Lover. And I had actually never heard a single song off of Reputation other than Bad Blood until I listened to Lover. And then I kind of delved back into Taylor Swift. And that's when I listened to Reputation and like read everything. Like I didn't realize she was missing for a year. I never stopped liking her music, but I didn't follow like I
Yep.
wasn't following along that closely in middle and high school.
Is Bad Blood on Reputation or 1989?
Oh, I feel like it's on Reputation. I'll look it up.
Um, no, I think that's a really good point, and I know I am definitely a much newer fan, but based on the way the media has been following her more now in the past couple years than literally ever before, it seems like a lot of people like have always been fans, but the way that it's the top of everyone's conversation, like whether you're a fan or not, it seems like she has really taken off, I think, because of the
Yeah.
Eras.
So you're right. Bad Blood is on 1989. So I guess I had literally never heard any songs on Reputation until I listened to Lover, got back into her music, and then I went back and listened to Reputation. I had not heard a single one of those songs.
Reputation's the one album that I cannot get into.
Some of it, like, it's hard. Ready for It is a really good chorus, but I don't like the parts where she's speaking.
Mhm.
It just doesn't do it for me. Endgame is good.
It just Endgame I really like. I like
She was mad. I think that's why it's not like her regular music. And she was
Yep.
so pissed at the way she had been treated for a year, which rightfully so.
Yep.
Um, and I think that just comes across. And I feel like you and I are both very non-confrontational. Like we're in a space where we're not very angry anymore.
Well,
Um,
it sounds so different. Like
yes.
she has like her country-ish but very poppy like indie vibe with Red and 1989 and Folklore Evermore, and Lover has its own vibe, but I think Reputation for me is just like it felt, and I mean it almost feels like she's trying to be someone that she's not, and I think you're right in that she was going through like such a time where she was
Yeah.
ripped apart for being who she was. So she like I don't know what she was thinking when she wrote that album. And it's not that I don't like it, but I would put it very low on the list of her 10, unfortunately.
Yeah.
People say to me like if you take the time to get into it, you'll love it. And I keep trying and it's like I always just
I
like
respect the writing, but I agree. It's not the same type of music.
no, it's not one that I want to put on and like
The
play.
other thing is we don't, I mean, neither of us were listening to her in 2017, especially where those songs weren't as mainstream. So we don't have any like emotional connection to it either, which I think is a huge part of Taylor's music is that we have all these memories that coincide with them. Like Folklore, if I need to write a book,
Hmm.
that is what's turning on every single time. It doesn't matter. I can just instantly program my brain to be like, okay, we're writing a book now, but only to Folklore. I can't do that with her other albums.
I am like of all her albums, I think my top three are Red, 1989, and Folklore. But of those even, the one I'm most it's not my favorite, but the one I'm most impressed by is Folklore because it's amazing how
Yeah.
in quarantine and COVID when the whole world was just crumbling and Taylor's like, fine, I'll write stories about these characters that I'm gonna make up, and I'm gonna make a whole album, and it's gonna
Mhm.
be like this whole world that I'm just like creating. And I'm just so amazed by like
Yeah.
the love triangle that happens and like the different characters that come in and out of different songs. And it's like every time I listen to that album, I'm like, oh my God, wait, that one connects here. And it's just,
Yeah.
and then she wrote the sister album to it. So it's just, COVID for so many people was so horrific, and I'm sure it was for her too. But the fact that she was able to produce these two albums during a pandemic, write and produce, is like, that's,
Yeah.
I think that was the beginning of Taylor Swift, like, really coming into her own. I think.
Yeah. I agree. What was your favorite song on Folklore?
Oh, I think August. And it's so lame because I know it's like everybody's favorite, but
August is good.
I mean,
Mine has mine has to be the one.
yep.
And I don't like I just and you know what? The Last Great American Dynasty, the imagery in
Yeah.
that, I just like I love it.
I've been loving how people are using AI to create like covers for her different songs, and
Yes.
someone did one for the Last Great American Dynasty and I was like, "Oh my God, this is exactly how I pictured it." Or so it's so cool to see these stories, and it's like it's almost like reading a book. Like that album really does feel like you're reading a book with the way she's created these characters, and especially in those songs. And I can't think of anything else now because she's been on tour, but the when she's like leaning back on like the folklore house that they've built, like singing,
Yes.
oh,
And
like
she changes the yes, and that's the way it should have
yep.
been sung. I like that version so much better.
And like neither of us have been to the Eras tour, but anytime I listen to it, that's what I hear now because I've heard
Yeah.
so many little clips of her singing that one line. And I think that's another amazing thing about her is we would all wake up the morning after a show and go on TikTok and look for the surprise songs and did she change the note in that one song and like what else happened? Like
Yeah.
she created such she's always had a following, obviously, but this Eras tour has created a following that I don't know like what fan base can be compared to. Like it's insane. You and I did not go to the Eras tour and did not have tickets, yet we were both completely infatuated with needing to follow what happened
Yeah.
every single night. What tour does that?
Yeah. No,
Like, I've
none.
never seen a fan base that like people are that obsessed consistently. Like it happens like, okay,
Yeah.
what happened the first night, second night, whatever. And then like it kind of falls off. But like,
It's been months that
yeah,
we're sending each other
still.
videos. Yes. My sister, who's in her 30s, sent me a text last night, well, in our group chat, and was like, I just saw the Taylor Swift movie for a third time. I want to see it a fourth. Everyone must see it. Like, if Nicole's telling you to go watch the Eras movie, like, you know this must be good. This woman does not take a break for anything, and she's taken 3 breaks to go see the movie. Like,
Have
and
you
she's
seen
staying
the movie?
out late. What?
Have you seen the movie?
No, not yet.
I'm so conflicted if I want to see it or not.
I want to see it so bad, but the week that they had it here, we had company, so I couldn't go see it. And then now I'm just kind of waiting to be able to buy it to live it every day.
I'm like, because when it first came out, they actually were showing it here in Italy. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, Nick, like, let's book tickets and go. And he was like, don't you want to see if we can possibly go? Because, like, the European tour hasn't started yet. So, like, there is still a small option and a small chance that we could actually see her live. And he was like, I think we should wait because you don't want to go see that movie and then know all the things that happen in the concert. I'm like, fine, you're right. So, I'm
Yeah.
holding out hope for the possibility that we can actually see her live, which would be
She's going to Montreal, and I heard that the tickets are much cheaper there. So I might have to.
I mean, have you seen her live?
No.
I think you need to try.
Yeah, I do too, especially because I was not worried about this until this morning. I saw a TikTok and it was an interview with Travis Kelce, and he was discussing just about like how their career values and their family values are the same. And she's adding more tour dates, and then she's going to end at the end of 2024.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, like, I don't think it's a farewell tour, but she very easily could be like, I just went on tour for 2 whole years. I now have my, let's hypothetically say, fiance or husband or
Yeah.
whatever, and we want to settle down and just like live.
Yep.
I i would very much like to see her before she, like, if she were to leave or not tour. I see her putting music out forever,
Yep.
but I
And
see her not touring in the capacity that she's doing. Like, what she's doing is insane.
it is insane, and I think you're probably onto something there. I'm not sure that she would stop touring, but I could see her taking a break and being like, okay, I'm going to focus
Yeah.
on this side of things for a couple years, and then I mean,
Mhm.
it might be 2030 by the time she, like, who knows, like who knows what
Right.
she's planning, and like she might be sitting here being like, I'm going to tour every single year for the rest of my life,
Right.
whatever. But I kind of am getting that feeling too, that this tour has been so huge that it's going to
Mhm.
take at least a couple years for her to put something together that can top it. Because you know her, like she's always going to do something that's better
Yeah.
than what she did before. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, and I think that this is one of those tours that you're going to look back on in 20 years and be like, this was still the tour that people talk about.
1000%.
And I just feel like I can't miss out on that.
It gives me some glimmer of hope that we are close enough to her age that we might not have to survive with her. Like, I hope I go first. I hope I do not see the death of Taylor Swift, because I can't fathom that. Can you imagine? The
No,
world would stop.
like I'm already thinking about her wedding and like
Oh,
her
it's
children if she chooses to have them. Like I guess if she chooses to get married too. Like all these different possibilities, people are going to lose it, me included.
yeah.
Like we are all going to collectively lose
We're
it.
invested.
Yep.
And I think it's like, some people are probably like, they're crazy. Like, these people are crazy for being so invested in this woman's life. But she's also shared, like, she's let us in. She's, she doesn't hate that we're involved. And I think I think she feels that sense of community. It's not,
I think she feels like she's one of the fans. Like the
yes.
way that she interacts with her crowd and the way I've seen the Miss Americana movie, which
Yeah.
like a million times. That one goes into like a little bit more of Taylor as a person and not even just as a performer. So she really lets you in these different moments where she really does want people to be a part of this. Like I think there's some artists where they don't want their fans or they get annoyed by the fans or whatever, but even like I've seen videos and stuff of her walking with Travis Kelce, clearly going to dinner or something, and she always will stop to like sign autographs or pose or say hi to fans. Like she is always right there with the fans. And I mean, we have to bring up what happened in the tragedy that happened in Brazil last weekend.
Yeah.
And the way, like, you cannot put any blame on Taylor Swift for what happened because you see so much proof of her throwing water bottles in the crowd. Like, even the incident over the summer when she had to get that security guard, like, basically fired for coming at her fans during that one song. Like, she is always right there to protect her fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you see that people were booing when they postponed, like, people were already in the arena when they postponed the show for Saturday to Monday, and people were booing. And I was like, maybe they didn't, like, we don't boo Taylor Swift. We remember what Kanye did. And
Yep.
then everyone was booing him and she thought it was her. Like, she was still backstage. And I feel like she must have been like just so up. And you know that she didn't take that lightly. Like, she performed in the pouring rain until
Right.
3 a.m. for her fans so she doesn't have to postpone shows. Like, it was a safety thing.
And I think it was a safety thing for her fans first, but also her. And I know that she would
Yeah.
put the safety of her fans before her, but
Yeah.
some of the videos that I've been seeing from the must have been the Friday show, it was 60 Celsius. So what did you tell me? That's 140.
140 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's, I mean, it's unsafe for anybody to even be outside for an extended period of time, let
Yeah.
alone like look at the way she sweats and works when it's raining and cold out, let alone
Yeah.
140-degree weather. And I saw a few videos and it was almost like sad to watch where she like
Yeah.
kind of turned away and like let herself go, and you could see her face like dropped. She was breathing like from her stomach really, really heavy, trying to catch her breath, and then the song started and she like snapped back in and it was like, okay, time to go. It's like, can you
Yeah.
imagine the toll on your body mentally and physically? Like obviously she
Yeah.
knew that a fan that came to her show had just lost her life, and now she's got to snap back into gear and try and put on the show in this weather that is like basically impossible to perform in.
Yeah.
It's like that's a pro, and that's Taylor. Is like I think she would not have gotten this far if she didn't care that much. And like I can't even imagine care like the way that she's able to care about, like, you feel important. Like even if you're not at a
Yeah.
show, even like everyone that is in her community, she makes you feel important.
Yes.
And I don't know
Absolutely.
how. Like I don't know I can't pinpoint what it is that she does.
She interacts with us though too. Like remember when they were announcing titles to midnights? And
Yeah.
every night, she would like get on TikTok and like do a little thing and like play with us. Like she interacts with her community on a level that no other artist
Mhm.
does. Not even at her level, but like I don't know any other artist who engages with their community the way she does.
Nope. And the way conspiracy theory is not the right word, but like the way that she leads people down these rabbit holes, like everything that's
The
happening,
Easter egg,
the Easter eggs, like the Suspected Karma album that's literally been happening since isn't that the Man
the
album?
man
The
music
Man music
video. Yeah.
video. So
Let's
that
love her.
years ago, and she's leading, stringing people along. Like I remember with the Midnights, what did she call it? The TikTok series, the Midnights.
Mayhem. Mayhem with me.
Yes, Mayhem with Me. When the phone was upside down, it was like, okay, now what does that mean? And like she
Yeah.
messes with people. And of course, when she said Karma is the guy on the Chiefs, like she says things because she knows it's going to drive people crazy. And it's like she's
Yeah.
laughing with us, like she totally is
Yeah.
right on board.
The world went nuts. I came downstairs that morning. I saw it. I came upstairs, I peed. I saw the TikTok while I was peeing. I ran downstairs like, Chris, she's like, I know. It's Karma is the guy on the Chiefs. And I was like, yes. Like even Chris, so my husband is an NFL man through and through, and he was not loving the whole Taylor Swift thing because,
Really?
reasons. The classic, guy thing. But I have converted him. I have my Taylor's version NFL sweatshirt that I wear. It's my Sunday uniform.
Mm.
I wear it religiously. And he's coming around now because guess what? I've been very into football. And since Taylor and Travie Boy have been dating, I've been in the top 3 of my fantasy football league every week.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Is Travis on your team?
No, so we just pick like who's gonna win so that
Oh,
it's not
okay.
super confusing.
Yep.
But I have been doing very, very well since they started dating. So
When
I'm usually dead last. For context, I have never won or even been in the middle of the pool for 2 years straight. So the fact that Taylor started dating Travis and now I'm in the top of the leaderboard it's unreal.
She's unreal. I mean, look at what she's doing. She's helping you with fantasy football. What
Yeah,
can't she do, honestly?
exactly.
I think the perfect way to wrap up because I think we could talk about Taylor forever, and I took notes just because I thought it'd be fun, but I knew we really wouldn't need them for this. But I think we have to discuss her relationship because she's kept, like, I think people that don't know her music or don't choose to follow her or just know like the top stories about her, all they say is like she's just the girl that writes about her breakups and writes about her relationships. And to a point that is somewhat accurate, but like she has definitely clued in her audience forever on her relationship. So it's only
Mhm.
fair that we talk about her current one.
Yes, absolutely. Which now that you're saying that out loud, though, it actually makes me kind of laugh because she got dragged for that for so many years. Let's look at what Kelsey Ballerini and her ex-husband did last year. What's his name? He's so irrelevant now. What's
It's
his name?
Morgan Evans.
Yes, which I know what side of that I landed on, but um it's ironic because there are guys out there doing the same thing.
Yep. I mean, not to talk about Kelsey, but actually, Kelsey Ballerini is such a fan of Taylor Swift, so I will happily talk about
Yeah.
her on this episode. That EP that she put together, like I have always been a fan of her, and that skyrocketed her career, and I could not be happier for
Yeah.
her. That was so badass.
Yeah. And it was so raw, and I love that she waited. I love that he released his and hers was a response.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, she's amazing.
Ugh.
Travis and Taylor, back to our power couple right now.
I love that I saw this thing and it was like Travis is good at being her boyfriend. And I don't think she's ever had someone who's good at being her boyfriend, which is so true because like he has his podcast every week and like she comes up every week, but he's very so like precise about how he talks about her or brags about her. And you didn't see that from anyone else. All of her other boyfriends were just kind of like, I think they were trying to act cool about it. And
Yes.
Travis is like, I don't have like this is cool and I'm gonna fanboy hard. Like the man wanted to give her a
I know.
bracelet with his number on it. Like he was not afraid to shoot a shot and the level of confidence she has, she needs someone who can match it or be comparable and not threatened by it.
I cannot remember exactly where it was, but she has literally come out and said that like men that are threatened, like she if someone is threatened by her in a relationship, like it's never going to work. And I think that wasn't the right context, but she has come out and said something like that, where she's had past partners that feel threatened by her success. And I mean, I can imagine that it would be very hard to be with Taylor Swift because she is extremely successful and
Yeah.
like, everybody loves her. But the fact that Travis Kelce has had wild success on his own. He's clearly and like one of the best tight ends out there, and he has this podcast that like he has enough endeavors going on himself, and he can come in and be like, I'm gonna take the back seat. Like he wants Taylor to be the center of attention, which to your point is exactly what we haven't seen with past relationships. And I think I don't want to. I mean, I love actors. I'm such a theater kid, but I do think there's a little bit of that. Like he has the confidence to just be Travis Kelce and let her be the shining star. Whereas some of these actors in the past were dealing with probably a lot more insecurities than we even realized that didn't allow them to let Taylor be the star that she needed to be.
And she's so fun. And I feel like anytime you saw her in public with any of the other guys, she was so reserved
Yes.
and just not, I don't know. I just feel like she's unapologetically herself. And
Yep.
I have never seen that from like, literally from a paparazzi view, because
Yes.
that's how we're seeing
Yes.
these
Yes.
images.
I don't even
And I,
think she would have made the line change about the guy on the Chiefs if it had been a different guy. Like I think she's feeling
yeah,
so comfortable and in love. I mean, she's had many songs during the surprise songs that have been like her basically saying to the crowd, like, guys, I this is a special one. And I
yeah.
don't think she's had those type of like I don't think she's wanted to be that open in past relationships, at least from what I've seen.
I almost feel like she wasn't allowed to. I think,
But yeah.
like a possible guy, like any of the other guys she's been with could have been like, I don't want this public because
Yes.
then it's gonna, because anything that she says is gonna be a headline. And I feel like they have just, and like Travis and Taylor have just embraced like we're headline worthy. Like
Yes.
this love
Yes.
is worth being a headline.
Yep. I
And I
know.
love that with them. And I love that we were all so like, I feel like when this began or whenever we like the public found out about it, I feel like collectively as Swifties, we were excited for her, but we weren't going to go trash Travis if it didn't work out for any reason.
I mean, I feel like some Swifties would if something came out that was like,
Well, yeah, if he did something shady, but like in the beginning, if they were
oh
just
yes.
talking, 'cause no one really knew if they were dating or if this was just
Mhm.
a publicity thing. Like we all were hoping that it was the
Yep.
real deal. But I feel like I don't know, just it happened so organically. And I feel like them being so, I mean, realistically open, they're
Yes.
not sitting down in interviews, but they're letting the public see what's going on.
Well, and I think Travis has been extremely open. Like even the fact that he
Yeah.
like not admits it, but like Jason will ask something about like how does it feel to be the guy on the Chiefs or whatever, and he's
Yeah.
totally in for it. Like he wants to talk about the relationship.
Yeah.
I think we should do our favorites really, really quick.
That's perfect. Why don't we just do our favorite Taylor Swift song at the moment and then call it a day?
That's really good, Susan. That is really good.
Do you want me to go first? I want to go first.
I mean, favorite of the moment. Oh, okay. I have my favorite of the moment. I think Fearless might always be like very, very top for me. Just I cannot help but like be in the best mood when I put on that song. And so I think Fearless is always like the very top. But since 1989 Taylor's version came out, I've always loved Clean. But hearing Clean in her voice now is like chills. So I think
Yeah.
Clean has been my song of the moment.
I love that. Mine is going to surprise you, and it's Is It Over Now? Because when we were talking about the vault tracks, you said that that was one of your favorites, and I was like, no. And now it's all I
Yep.
listen to.
The vault tracks always take some warming up too.
Yeah, because we're not used to them. We haven't heard them before.
Yep. Is it over now? I really like that one.
It goes so hard.
Yes.
You guys know the drill. Leave a review or like and subscribe, depending on what platform you're at, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening.